Good morning, folks. How are we all today? Hope we're feeling fine. Day off today. Busy day, so we'll get on with this quite quickly. We'll let people get on board. Who's in this morning? Hi, Peter. Hi, Wolf Pet. Hi, June. Mark. Julie. Where else we go? That's my notification that it's going out on Facebook. Unfortunately, I can't go live on Facebook. Well, it is live, but only to friends. Anyway, who else we go? Hi, George. Hi, Scott. Hi, John. Good morning, Lorna. Good morning, Avril. Christina. Morning, Dean. Numbers are starting to climb nicely. Good morning, Diane. So, I say day off today, busy day ahead of me. Only one day off this week. Aye, Ali. But we'll get into this in a wee second. Give you a couple of minutes for a few minutes to get on board. Some real puzzling stuff in the papers today, but we'll get there as we go through the front pages. Some really puzzling stuff. And a lot of speculation. You know, I thought they were called newspapers. No speculative rags, but newspapers. Morning, Harry. Joseph. Stephen. Ange. John. To say, a lot of speculative rubbish in the papers today. But we'll get to that in a wee second. So it's Indy Truck Davy on the 10th of the 6th, 2025, out the truck, at home, in his office, as he always is these days, in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it's 15 degrees, sunny, lovely morning, but unusual for my day off. May as well enjoy it. That's the weather here in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. If you want to know the weather's like where you are, look out your own bloody window. Okay, first up this morning, we have the loony rag, the right-wing knuckle-dragger's rag, the TV equivalent of GBBs. We've got the Express. Now, what's the Express got for us this morning? We'll stick it up, as we do, because that's what the show's about, having a look at the front pages. The loony rag the Express has got, our pensioners still in the dark after Labour Chancellor Reeves vote face. Whatever the fuck that means. Charity urges SNP to ensure Scots get fuel U-turn money. Well, I can't see why they wouldn't. What's interesting is this used to be a universal payment paid out to the Department of Work and Pensions right across these islands. All of a sudden it's an England and Wales only thing. I can imagine that we're going to get stuffed when it comes to Barnley consequentials here. I imagine they're going to find a way to wriggle out sending that money north. Right, take that piece of crap down. Shut it down. Next up, we'll get the start of the speculation. Here we go, the Herald. And the Herald has Scots courts chaos looms as solicitors boycott scheme. Sheriff cases face extreme pressure as row over legal aid rates threaten. So, the speculation is that there won't be a settlement that the lawyers can accept, so they're going to boycott the legal aid scheme. Well, a lot of these lawyers, that's how they make their money, legal aid cases. So if they're not going to take up these cases, they ain't going to make any bloody money. But like with most industrial disputes here in Scotland, I am 100% sure that the Justice Secretary will sort this mess out. But as I say, speculation, chaos could happen if a decent settlement's not reached. But as I say, I'm sure the Justice Secretary will, like the Health Secretary, the Education Secretary, and all the rest of the ministers, will come to an agreement with the legal fraternity and it'll be sorted out. Okay, next up we've got the Scotsman, and it's also speculating. No fucking news, just speculation. What's the Scotsman got for this morning? Top medics and call for health service to be reimagined. And pensioners in Scotland, this is where the speculation comes in. Pensioners in Scotland may be worse off after you turn on winter fuel. And that is because the Scottish Government hasn't said that if the money comes to Scotland, it will go to pensioners. Because why? Because the Scottish Government don't know if money is going to come to Scotland yet or not. But once again, could be worse off, may be worse off, may see chaos in the courts. Where's the fucking news? These things are not meant to be speculative. They're supposed to be reporting news. Unbelievable. May be worse off. Could be chaos. Where's the news? It's a newspaper. Clues in the name. It's no speculation rag, it's newspaper. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So, if you're off down the news agents today to pick up the Hootsman or the Herald, you're not getting news, folks. You're getting speculation. That's no what a newspaper's for. The fourth estate is meant to be there to hold truth to power, not to speculate on what could be true and what's no. Wow. Right, next up we've got their answer. Do you know I don't put their answer till they scum up? So what's their answer go? SNP, money, bribe, council tax freeze, election bribe. Speculation once again. John was asked if he would put a council tax freeze on and he didn't rule it out, but he never said he would either. So once again we've got a newspaper speculating. They're speculating that the SNP might be about to offer voters in Scotland a bribe by a council tax freeze. It would be welcome in this cost of living crisis, but once again, speculation. John didn't say there would be a freeze, he didn't say he wouldn't. He was asked if he would consider it, and never said it was off the table, that's all. Right, the scum has a crime story when two tribes go to war. Hoods play 86 as they torch motors. So apparently some car lot get hit with a bunch of hoods torching it, and they were blasting out 80s music while doing it. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Right, let's move on to that nonsense and see what the Telegraph's got for us today. The Telegraph's got 14 billion for nuclear to keep lights on. Let me fix that for yous. Especially for the people in England and Wales where these things are going to be inflicted upon them. That headline should actually read 14 billion for nuclear to pollute the land for the next 300 fucking years. It's no a viable clean option. Wherever they site these plants, that land is going to be unusable for 300 fucking years. And watch the cancer cases in your area spiral out of hand. Right, let's take that down. Next up, we've got The Guardian. It's running on the same story, by the way. Apparently the stupid are going to continue to be stupid. Labour pledged 14 billion for nuclear to get UK off fossil fuel roller coaster. I'll fix that headline and all. England goes nuclear because Scotland's fucking leaving and taking the oil and gas with them. That's exactly what that headline means. They're no transitioning away from fossil fuels. They're transitioning away from fossil fuels, which will be leaving their treasury shortly. And they're using the money that they're getting for that fossil fuels right now, our money, to sort out their energy fucking mess for when we leave. They know it's coming, they don't know how long they've got left, and this is their answer. Nuclear. Our answer, of course, to transition away from fossil fuels is to go into renewables. We've got battery banks being built all over the bloody country so that we can store the renewable energy. Right, let's take that down and see what the Nationals got for us today. The Nationals got a doozy today. It's actually quite a good front page. A direct assault on international law. Demand for UK and other governments to act after Israel's seizure of Gaza aid boat. Stammer will do nothing. Nothing. He's a Zionist out and out. Main headline, back Swinney as leader call. Dolan urges SNP members not to push for change at top after by-election loss. And MSP says tell voters we'll hold Indy ref no matter what Westminster says if yes majority elected. That's how to win that yes majority. And of course, exclusive, what's our vision? The quiet anger brewing in the party. And it's quite deliberately in yellow and black lettering, because that is the colours of our party. And the paper's right. There is a quiet anger brewing in the party. For that man to be satisfied he's got the SNP competing for a position of winning shows you what sort of expectations he's got for the future of the party. Fucking none. That quiet anger is brewing in the party. I'm glad they are now aware of it. But if John wants to hold on to the chair, he better get on his game. And I mean that. Because at this point in time, being happy that you're competing with other political parties rather than beating other political parties from a position where you hold the seat isn't good enough. And if John wants to keep that fucking seat, you better take the advice of that MSP and tell the people they're getting in their F2 if they put a majority in that parliament along there. It is time to tell Westminster we are no longer playing by your rules. So as I say, so it's a decent headline in the National today. Decent front page in the National today, actually. Right, let's see what the Times has got for us, shall we? The Times has Reeves lays down law in spending standoff with Cooper. So Chancellor's in a standoff with the Home Secretary for funding that has to do with policing. But we've got all sorts of speculation about tomorrow's spending review, so we'll just need to pay close attention to what's happening with it. And Trump targets governor as unrest spreads. And millions escape winter fuel cuts. No, they didn't. They got a reprieve. They didn't escape it. They got a reprieve. And 7.5 million people to get it. That's better. There was 11 million people getting it. 11. 7.5. So there you go. 3.5 million people still not getting it. And a lot of these people will be asset rich and cash poor. Right, let's move on. Motoring through this morning. Right, after the Times, we've got the Daily Fail. And the Daily Feel's actually telling the truth for a change, which is a wee bit unusual for a right-wing rag. But it is bang on the money with its headline this morning, so I'll put it up what you see it. See if you agree with me or no. See if you agree with this right-wing rag or no. And it's got winter fuel humiliation. After huge U-turn, Reeves refuses to apologise, bizarrely claiming she's been right to cut handout. It's not a handout. It's not even a benefit. It's an entitlement. We'll pay in. And Starmer is ridiculed for suggesting moves now possible because Labour fixed our stricken economy. Deluded. And that's true. Anybody looking at the economic figures coming out monthly, for the Treasury, for the OBR, for the think tanks, know that this economy is in terminal decline. At this point in time, it's just bumping along the bottom. As soon as there's a hole to drop into, it'll drop in it. But Labour's fixed the economy. This economy is no fixable. When you've no market, his deal with Trump's up in the fucking air. There is no deal with Europe. And these two deluded idiots are telling us every day they've stabilised the economy, they've fixed the economy. Growth, growth, growth. But they can't tell us where they're going to grow into. Because the internal market's not enough to keep us. Fucking idiots. Fix the stricken economy. My arse. It's no fixable. And it won't be fixable until we get some honest people at the top telling the folk straight that unless they rejoin Europe, this market's done. Well, but the Phil had it right. They two are deluded. Absolutely deluded. And they think you're stupid. They think you can't see the figures being issued for the Treasury every fucking month. They think you can't see the projections for the OBR and all the other fucking economists. And you're right, growth isn't what we need. What we need is a redistribution of wealth. That's what we need. Right, what's the eye got for us this morning? Winter fuel U-turn gets warm welcome, but Labour MPs warn Reeves don't make same mistake on disability benefits. Now I can't quite make out what the fuck that means. Are they telling her no to U-turn on the disability benefit cuts she's bringing down the line? Or are they telling her to U-turn on the disability benefit cuts coming down the line? I can't quite make that out. Is she to stop the cuts to disability benefit, or is she to carry on and no U-turn? This headline is not very clear. No real. Right, let's take that down. The next one really annoys me. I don't know why. I think it's just because of the bad use of language. And the needless bad use of language. So, next up, we have the Metro. Let's see what nonsense it's got on the front page. Well, it's no nonsense, but it's a bad use of language. Chancellor's winter fuel U-turn hammered. Humiliating. Humiliating. Why can't they just put humiliating? I get it as a U-turn. But they could have put an H there and a big U. Wonderful. I suppose you could call it imagination. I suppose you could call it imagination. Very disappointing. And I'm not even an English speaker, for fuck's sake. It's not my native language. It's always funny how the English language is named after England itself, when it's no, it's a Germanic language. And it's spoken quite widely. A bit like the Latino language has been very similar, but spoken widely. Never spoke English in my fucking life. No, about to start. I speak Scots. So I was talking to Andy last night, and he was saying the same thing about how he passed his English A levels, and I was going, like, congratulations. That's a good achievement for somebody that's not a native speaker of the language. I think he was a wee bit baffled by that, actually. It's a bit like the guy in America I'm arguing with the language as well. He keeps telling me he speaks English, and I keep telling him, you speak American, you fucking dafty. Mental. Right. Last up, we've got the Star, so let's see what the Star's got for us. And the Star's right back where the Star should be, on nonsense. That's what we want for the Star. For folk's sake, wizards, goblins, and monsters replacing religion. Nation hunts the meaning of life in folklore. The Lord's Prayer. Wonderful. That's the sort of front page I want to see in the Star. Absolute nonsense. But when it comes to folklore and looking for the meaning of life there, I suppose it's just as valid a place to look for the meaning of life than any religious script. And who are we? I'm a non-religious man, but who am I to diss folklore? After all, our national anthem's a fucking, our national animal's a unicorn, you know? So, that's what you want the Star. Pure fucking nonsense. I love this Star. But I see a lot of speculation in the papers today. And then we can see that England's going to carry on doing this stupid path of nuclear, polluting their country. But we know why they're having to do it. It's also why benefits and things like that are being split. The state's being split. They know that one way or another, this United Kingdom stroke Great Britain of Scotland, England, Wales and Northern Ireland is over. So it's just a matter of time. But yours is a dragon down there in Wales. Aye. As I say, they know it's over. Let's hope they build them on the south of England. I don't want the bang polluting us when it comes out of the border. Because no doubt that's what will happen. We've seen what the UK government's like when it comes to building infrastructure. It's not fucking great. Right, folks, that's it for this morning. Day after day, so I'm going to get myself out and about. I've got a few things to do today. And you never know, you might get a wee video from me later. No saying I will, no saying I won't. But you never know. You guys look after yourselves. Thanks very much for your kind contributions today. If you could do us a favour and hit the like button on the way out and get it up over the 100, there's enough of you there to do that for us, thanks. And share this material around if you want. I'll need to nip onto Facebook now and make this public once the video comes to an end. You guys look after yourselves. See you all tomorrow morning, 10:30. Don't be late. You're on the naughty step. Eyes on the prize. The prize is Hollywood 2026 at this point in time. And let's hope John comes to his senses on this independence thing. Because the minute he puts his arse behind it, then we might be able to start getting behind him. You guys look after yourselves. See you all tomorrow morning.